Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. It's another episode of Everything Jared. We got a special guest with us today named Brendan Island. How you doing, Brendan?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So pretty cool. I actually haven't seen Brendan. I know Brendan previously. Some of the guests that I have, I actually don't know. It's like strangers that I just meet online and kind of start a conversation with. Brendan, I actually know from, God knows, maybe like 12 years ago, maybe we met, maybe around 10 years ago. We lived in the same neighborhood, had some mutual friends, Philadelphia Art Museum area. And then I'd say probably lost touch about 4 years ago. Before COVID, I think you started traveling the world. And right before that is probably the last I spoke to you. I think we ran into each other a little bit with real estate in the city before that. And then you've just been traveling the world, doing some really dope stuff. And we kind of reconnected online to catch up. Can you tell me a little bit about your traveling around the world?
Yeah, sure. So, just like you said, we were, Philly friends. And, at the time, I was working in the corporate world, I suppose, but I really was enjoying doing real estate management for luxury high-rise buildings in the city. My wife was doing a little bit of international pharmaceutical sales, primarily based on things around ophthalmic equipment. She started traveling for her job, and she really caught the travel bug. And I'm open and curious, and so she presented the idea of quitting our jobs and traveling the world, and kind of the idea of not coming back and finding a place to explore and a different place to call home, whether temporary or not. But we traveled 22 countries through North Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. And unfortunately, we were in the Philippines when COVID hit. And
so you were in the middle of your travels when it happened.
Yeah, we were in month 9 of 15. And
Wow.
so we missed out on Bali, Australia, New Zealand, and then we were going to slowly crawl our way back, road tripping, basically doing all the national parks and things like that in the States. Because, I've been around the States a bit, but I really wanted to explore a bit more of the nature that the U.S. offers. And so those parts kind of got squashed. And then here we are. We ended up deciding to make Kenya home for now.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So one of my questions was going to be, how did you decide to travel the world? It sounds like your wife kind of convinced you. How long of convincing did it need? Did she kind of say, I want to do this, and you said okay? Did you guys think about it for a while, or was it kind of like it made sense right when you heard it?
Well, I'm like a very rational type person, a lot about a lot of things. Very irrational about a lot of other things too. So I think when you first mentioned it, in the back of my head, I was convinced, let's do this, but my actions weren't necessarily, and maybe, the way I spoke to her about it weren't, very much telling that I was ready to jump in. So, so she definitely was the main push on that. But, we were, like you had mentioned, we were doing some real estate things, and we were prepared for another venture opportunity in real estate. And we also don't have any kids. And so we were like, what's the next step for us? Is it an investment property? Is it time to have a kid? Do we like our jobs? Where's life headed? And then when we sat down and had a real conversation, we said, let's take advantage of the opportunity now that we have, and let's travel, experience, learn, and then just see where life takes us from there.
That's awesome. How much planning did it take? It sounds like you guys had it pretty well thought out with you were going to do 15 countries. You kind of knew the whole route, the whole 15 countries, all the countries. What type of planning was involved?
The main thing was following the weather pattern, really, to make sure we didn't end up somewhere freezing cold.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Not that it's a bad thing, but when you're traveling with a backpack, to pack, for summer and pack for winter, really starts to limit down, what your versatility of what you can have in your back. And so we were just trying to follow the warm weather patterns. And as much as I love snowboarding and skiing, it's not an option to have those traveling with you. So we opted for beaches and warm weather. But while we were traveling, some of the planning that we did was based around trying to do volunteer opportunities.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's a thing called like Workaway, and basically we stayed with locals. You know, we agreed to work for 4 hours a day, and then you know, so we got involved in projects in Egypt. We worked right next to the pyramids in like a little hotel. We helped them rearrange kind of their lobby and made it more of like welcoming, and taught them a little bit of things about hospitality. And then in France, we like helped rehab like a 900-year-old home that monks built back in the day to make it like a vacation facility. We were in Ireland.
All through the Workaway program?
What's that?
This is all through the program called Workaway?
There's Workaway, and what's the other one, Lil? Workaway. Geez, I forget the other one. But there's 2 programs. You just Google it, but it's really amazing. I mean, basically, like even you can post, like if you want your house painted, you can just post on there as long as you're willing to give them shelter and some food. Then you post, you know, come paint my house for free, and I'll give you some food and shelter. And in the afternoons and the weekends, you know, go tour the city and enjoy. And so you'll find all sorts of different opportunities there. And so we wanted to try to engage with the locals while we were traveling fast through these countries, you know, and you know, obviously we want to hit a lot of the high tourist spots and things like that. But you know, part of our thing is we like to engage with the culture and the people, you know, as much as possible. And so these opportunities really gave us a chance for that. And so we did also in Germany. We worked at a winery. In Ireland, we worked at an eco property at the most southwestern tip in Ireland, the closest to the United States as you can get. It was really amazing. And then we also did a thing in the Philippines. We worked at like an eco vegan, but like little bungalows on the beach. And
sounds incredible.
Yeah, we were going to do rice in Bali. We were going to do some things in New Zealand and Australia. The whole rest of our trip was going to be volunteer, but COVID derailed that just a little bit.
Yeah, so this might have to do with COVID, it might not, but what was the best part of the trip and what was the worst part of the trip? I'm assuming the worst part might have been COVID when it ended, but is there anything else?
Well, that's given, but I think the best part is the amount of things you can learn, you know, experiencing different people, cultures, perspectives. I mean, it's you know, I mean, we're lucky in the US because we get to experience a little bit of that, you know, because US is such a diverse background of places. But you know, meeting someone from Thailand in the US is definitely different than meeting someone in Thailand, you know, from Thailand. You know, and so on. But so I think that the you know, the most eye-opening and enriching part of the experience is meeting, you know, these or experiencing these cultures in the places that they exist. And so, you know, the toughest part was like the logistics, of course, you know, especially when you're traveling fast. There was a time where we went a stretch almost 3 months where we're averaging like 16 to 18,000 steps a day. So we were hustling, you know.
With a backpack.
You know, you know, and there's the argument, you know, of traveling slow and really engaging. And then there's the argument of traveling fast, and people say, you know, you don't really get to experience anything. But I think we did very good at both. You know, we maximize our time through our research and through volunteer opportunities, connecting with friends of family who like set us up in different places. So it was good. But you know, one of the things is that the food is, you know, Italy, India, and Thailand for sure. If anybody's a foodie and you know, wants to go chasing some amazing food, it would be those places. In India, we scheduled a short time just because you hear like a good bit of horror stories, and then you know, so we didn't want to take the chance. But after the first couple of days, we were like, thank goodness we didn't book longer. But then after a couple more days, we were like, we don't want to leave.
No way, really?
So India was just amazing. It's just, every place is different, of course, but I think India, like culture shock and just so completely foreign to anything that I've ever experienced, then India definitely takes the cake for that.
That's awesome. That's super cool. one more question, I guess, about your travels, and then I kind of want to change the conversation a little bit more about some like NFTs, metaverse, and stuff like that. So how did you decide to end up in Kenya? Because that seems like a pretty random place.
Yeah, it's definitely random. I mean, but so I mean, the way it happened isn't random because one of my best friends from university, actually, he's a Philly guy, but he married a girl who grew up in Kenya because her parents are missionaries, and so she actually spent most of her childhood here, and then came to the States. They got married, and she always wanted to come back and do something for the people. So they have an NGO that does water sanitation solutions. For schools and education. And so, and the byproduct of that, he started doing some farming just because he had some land. And long story short, he got really into the potato industry. He figured out a lot of opportunities that existed for it. He's talked to me for quite a while. Kenya was our first stop. So I got really introduced to his project. And then the whole time I was traveling in every single country, he'd be calling me, updating me on, the progress of the company. I think, he really wanted a strong partner that he knew that could help him grow the business. And so after traveling, we sat down and we thought about Kenya. My wife's from Colombia, and I have a really good friend there that's doing a lot of big things with sugar and coffee there. So we were kind of just thinking about some options that we had, and Kenya seemed to fit the bill, for really a good place that we can kind of find ourselves: nature, animals, education. My wife's background's in education. And so, Kenya just kind of seemed really right. And obviously having a best friend from university that also grew up in the city I grew up in, made that transition a good bit smooth. So now we're in Kenya. We are now the largest potato producing company in the country. In just 9 months of me being here, we went from 20 acres to 500 acres under management.
Irish expertise, because you're Irish. You got the potato expertise.
Irish potatoes, and my last name's Irish. So I don't know if it's just the luck of the Irish or if there's something else to it.
That's awesome. Well, good stuff. I guess let's pivot a little bit. I love hearing about that. I feel like I could ask you about your travels for hours, because you did some really cool shit. Most people, I think, when they travel, they just like touch cities and see like the monument you're supposed to see, but you did more stuff that I would like to do, of like volunteering and really like experiencing the actual life there, not just like seeing surface level stuff. But I guess something I'm a bit passionate about, and I think you have some interest in as well. I'm going to kind of group a couple of things together. I know they're related, they're not exactly alike, but crypto, Bitcoin, NFTs, the metaverse. Is that kind of popular in Kenya? Is it gaining popularity? I feel like one of my favorite things about Bitcoin is it allows the unbanked to bank themselves. I can imagine that a lot of people in Kenya are unbanked. So as long as they're able to access a telephone and internet service, they can start being banked. So I think that could be potentially very beneficial for a lot of people there. Is that right? Or is that
I think the interest is growing here. One of the things that's really difficult on a daily basis to understand is that the lack of access to information here is astronomical. And so, but I read a good bit about it and what's going on in Africa in general, not just necessarily Kenya, but Kenya is one of the major technological hubs for Africa. And Nairobi is definitely pushing a lot of the cryptocurrencies and things like that. And I it's a bold statement, but I can foresee a lot of Africa really turning into using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as true exchanges and relatively near future. So I can't say because of the amount of poverty and things like that. I don't know how much people are willing to gamble on that, but I know that the interest, especially on the government levels and things like that, is being piqued quite a bit here.
Well, I hate to I feel like a ignorant American when I put these countries grouped a little bit together, but I know Kenya and Ghana are not the same, obviously, but they're probably a little bit similar at least. In Ghana, they actually banned cryptocurrency for whatever reason. I guess they saw it as being not good for the government and could mess their currency up, whatever. But once it was banned, actually, trading for Bitcoin started trading for a premium. So let's say Bitcoin is $50,000. In Ghana, it actually trades for $60,000 because they know how valuable it is. And when they made it illegal, it actually became like more valuable. Do you think Kenya would maybe follow suit with Ghana and try and make it illegal? Or do you think that their government is more open to it and wants it to kind of, they want to use it to help themselves instead of try and defend themselves from it?
I don't know the angles that would be taken because, you know, if it doesn't benefit the individual in the government, not the people, that individual is making that decision.
Exactly.
And I don't foresee any representative of a Bitcoin just popping on in and putting a couple extra coins in somebody's pocket just to get everybody on board. So that's really, it's unpredictable here. Just because of those things. I mean, you know, in order to continue to be reelected, and obviously as people get more access to information, you know, just like anywhere, then, you know, the blatant corruption starts to decrease, you know, and I think that from what I'm being told and things like that, it's on the decrease here, but it's still rampant. So I can't say with any type of certainty one way or the other, but I don't, it's a progressive place in general. And they want to be in the forefront, you know, that's very much for sure. They don't want to be left behind. And right now, you know, the Nairobi's basically the New York of East Africa. So I don't foresee them, you know, putting themselves in a spot where somebody else might be able to move ahead, you know, because they were lazy or they made a bad decision on some progressive nature.
Makes sense. So I feel like the metaverse will probably lag a little bit behind Bitcoin, at least in some aspects. In some aspects, it might be ahead. As someone who could, I feel like you would be a great fit for the metaverse because you're in Kenya right now. You probably haven't seen a lot of family in a while. Your wife is from Colombia. She probably hasn't seen her family in a while. With the metaverse, I hypothetically could put on like an Oculus and can kind of interact with people around the world a lot better than how we're interacting right now. Like we're talking, it's great, better than it was 20 years ago. But if we had multiple people in this Zoom, it's not so easy for like you to interact with someone and me to interact with someone else without disrupting everything else. It's hard for me to present something and show it to you if it's not like right in the screen and whatever. Where the metaverse will have software that will make that easy. Do you think, one, you'll be in Kenya for a while, and do you think you foresee yourself using the metaverse at all, or do you think that's kind of far away and doesn't really make much sense at this point?
No, I think the metaverse makes a lot of sense. You know, to me, you know, and certain ways that I think we're similar. You know, it is a way to create actually better human connections in some fashion, but getting lost in the metaverse is, for me, is a very scary thing, you know, and so that's where I'm at with that. I'm super interested in it, and I think it's going to be super huge, and I think it's going to be a great thing in general, you know, for the world. I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially for people who don't necessarily have opportunity. I think the metaverse would be an amazing way that's going to give people that you know, have the ability and have the knowledge and the willingness to take advantage or create, you know, and I think the opportunity to do that. So I think the platform in general, especially for places like Africa, that can be just such a platform of opportunity where it doesn't exist. You know, I think, you know, in America, it'll end up being more of a way to escape reality versus, you know, in a place like here, it's a way of opportunity and a platform to be heard, because, you know, in America, if you want to be heard, there how many platforms, you just click a couple buttons and you could be
Yeah,
heard,
exactly.
but here that doesn't exist. And so when that's going to pick up a lot. And so what's really neat is that when you're at a place that's so far behind in technology and just education, just everything, as far as the modern world, but
hmm
but when they don't have to go through those baby steps to get to the metaverse, and it's just this is their new reality, I think the opportunity is huge. And so the way that I see my interest in the metaverse is a potential like investment opportunity, and I'm interested in to know what's going on. And maybe there's certain pieces of the metaverse that are going to directly benefit me, but not fully understanding the involvement and where it's at now and where it's going. We can all hypothesize and things like that, and we can read articles about what's happening. But so for me, I'm looking to learn a little bit more about what's happening, where are the opportunities to kind of invest, and how to track kind of the progress in general of that type of world.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I feel like just from hearing that couple minutes of you talk about it, it sounds like you already know more than probably 99% of people. I feel like anyone who knows a little bit about the metaverse is kind of like a metaverse expert already. But everyone's like, I really don't know much. And it's like, no one knows much. It's kind of being developed. As long as you're following along, you kind of know as much as there is to know. I feel like for Kenya, a place like Kenya, similar to you, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think like the first opportunities will probably come for like education, and then also like some entertainment possibilities. So like what artist has been to Kenya in the last 10 years? I can't imagine too many, but once you have the tech a lot better and easier to use, it'll be probably available for every concert that there is. You'll have a metaverse option that you can kind of log in and experience concerts. And like there's no max on the number of people who can attend. I think Travis Scott, not such a popular name the last couple of weeks, but a year ago or 2 years ago, he had a metaverse concert in Fortnite, which is kind of like a controlled metaverse. Or it's like it's kind of like a metaverse. It's similar enough at least. And they had 11 million people attend this concert. That's unreal. That's never been done in real world, which is pretty incredible. And then for like school and teaching and stuff, people from Kenya can kind of just log into classes around the world instead of having to actually travel to Harvard University or wherever it might be. You have a lot more access to opportunities. So I think that's going to be huge. Another thing I think that will probably be useful more in the near term is there's these things called play to earn games, which is kind of has to do with NFTs, also has to do with the metaverse a little bit, or at least some of them do. But I have a few Filipino virtual assistants. So the one who actually does the editing for this podcast is one of my Filipino virtual assistants. He shared with me maybe like 6 months ago this game called Axie Infinity. And Axie Infinity is this like NFT game where you can earn. It was a lot better 6 months ago. It's not as good now. But when it started, you could earn about $20 a day playing a game. You have to play for like 8 hours, like a full-time job, but you can make $20 a day. In Philippines, similar to probably Kenya, a daily wage is maybe $3 is a good daily wage. So, or maybe like $10, whatever it might be. So a lot of people in the Philippines decided they'd reach out to like Americans or people around the world who had money to invest. I had to invest initially $1,000. That $1,000 bought like the equipment basically for the game. Once I had the equipment, you hire a Filipino, or I'm sure Kenyans will start doing it eventually too, and they become your scholar. And basically the scholar will play the game. They earn $20 a day on average, and then they split it with you. So you get $10 a day for free, and they get $10 a day for playing this game, which is more than most jobs pay there, or it's just another job opportunity. There's not always job opportunities there. So for me, I got my investment back after 100 days. Now I just get a free $10 a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's free money. It's not a bad thing. And then I have two Filipino friends of mine who are making daily wages better than they were before. So it's kind of like a win-win-win. So I feel like a lot of third world countries will start kind of taking advantage of these opportunities because it just makes sense. If there's not a lot of opportunity there, why not take advantage of a game that can pay you? Have you
Yeah,
heard?
so like I know about that in general, like about these games and about the wages and things like that. I don't know details, and then that's the, I've been really consumed with, the business and just getting acclimated here, but that's like the opportunities that I would, be very much interested in.
Well,
With it, 'cause I know the gaming is like the big initial
that's gonna be
piece,
the first.
Roblox,
Yeah.
all these different things, but obviously it's just going to continue to grow. People are starting to buy property on these worlds, and
I
all
have
these-
two properties in Decentraland, and I bought them right before the Facebook announcement. Like I've always been interested in it. I kind of randomly did it right before a Facebook announcement, and I think they've both like 10x'd in value in the last like month, which is nuts. And then like it's interesting, in the Metaverse Decentraland, whatever, one of my properties is next to a strip club. I don't really understand, but you can like walk around and see NFTs of like these models and stuff. And I'm kind of trying to make actually like a therapy house where I kind of want to have virtual therapy sessions run in my kind of parcel, where a lot of people in therapy might get like annoyed by certain colors or certain distractors, and might not like all white. I like to think of psychedelic therapy, where like a lot of people on psychedelic therapy don't like white rooms. That kind of freaks them out a little. My initial thinking is, if you have a metaverse therapy house, you can kind of customize it for each
client.
so you can kind of change the skins or change the walls depending on who's coming in. But that's what I'm kind of trying to make one of my parcels in too, and then the other one I'm thinking of making like a wedding hall, and maybe make like virtual wedding certificates, because like there's actually a country, I forget which one, who's thinking of maybe establishing an embassy in the metaverse, because it's like, this might be new terrain. Why not start treating it like new worlds if it is? So if there's going to be embassies there, why not have wedding houses and your own licenses and certificates for that? But then one last thing, I actually am coming out with a Metaverse newsletter. First issue will be coming out this week. So I'll definitely share that with you though. And anything you ever want to know more about, just let me know and I'll make sure to try and cover it.
Yeah. So then the newsletter is going to be something that's an email, or it's going to be video?
An email.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'll send you an email. It'll be some articles, and I'll probably end up talking about what I write like frequently, but it'll be just a newsletter email for now.
Uh-huh.
But what's it called? That about wraps up our time. Time flew by. I had a blast reconnecting with you. I kind of already want to think of talking to you again, because there's still so many open-ended. So let's maybe try and reconnect again in a month or two and keep it going.
That would be great. Yeah, I mean, I've been very intrigued. I mean, I know you just posted, about an open invite to your podcast, but just kind of, I'm not so much on Facebook, but just seeing how your personality has bloomed, and the things that you've kind of gotten into are all right up my alley. And so obviously you've been able to dive into those realms a little deeper than me. And so I think building that connection would be really nice. I'd appreciate talking to you a little more frequently.
Hell yeah, I agree, man. Honestly, it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years since we last talked. That felt like it's been like a week or two. So let's keep it feeling like that, and we'll talk again in a couple weeks. If you ever have any questions about anything, definitely don't hesitate to ask. I'll do my best to answer whatever.
I appreciate it. Great to see you, man.
All right, great to see you. I'm gonna